A rustle in the dry underbrush. A shadow darts between the ancient palms. Then, without warning, a thunderous strike from a giant, hooked beak shatters the silence. A small mammal struggles, trapped under the weight of a massive clawed foot. Looming above is a creature out of place and time, with the rigid posture of an ostrich, the intensity of a raptor, and the dead-eyed patience of a cold-blooded killer. This isn't the world we know. This is South America, around 50 million years ago, and the bird standing tall in the clearing is no parrot. It's a forest raccoon, the terror bird. So before you get comfortable, take a moment to like the video and subscribe, but only if you genuinely enjoy what I do here. If you like our content, please like and subscribe to Timeburied. Let us know what topics you are interested in the comments below. The name Terror Bird might sound like a movie monster, but it's the informal nickname for an entire family of flightless predatory birds that once ruled the southern continents, scientifically known as Forest raccoon. These birds thrived from the Paleocene to the Pleistocene, dominating the land for more than 50 million years, especially in isolated South America, which acted like a massive petri dish of evolution until the continents reconnected. The first terror birds probably emerged shortly after the extinction of the non-avian dinosaurs. While mammals were still recovering, birds, descendants of the largest known terror bird, Calenkin guillermoy, had a skull over 28 inches, 71 centimeters long. The biggest bird skull ever discovered. That's the size of a grown man's torso. Its curved, axe-like beak could crush bone or pin prey to the ground with terrifying force. Standing nearly 10 feet tall and weighing up to 500 pounds, Calenkin was not a creature you'd want to bump into on a morning jog. And yet, there wasn't just one terror bird. Over 18 known genera existed across South America, ranging from the modest Salopterus, which could have been confused for a large turkey, to Titanis walleri, which spread north into what is now Texas and Florida. That's right, the terror birds didn't stay in South America forever. When the Isthmus of Panama rose around 3 million years ago, forming a land bridge, these giant avian predators marched northward in what's called the Great American Biotic Interchange. Before that moment of continental reconnection, South America was practically an evolutionary island, with its own set of bizarre creatures: marsupial predators, giant ground sloths, and armored glyptodonts the size of Volkswagens. Without large carnivorous mammals to compete with, the terror birds were free to fill the top predator niche. And they did so with brutal efficiency. These birds were built to run, with long, muscular legs and powerful claws. Some species could reach speeds estimated at 30 to 40 miles per hour. Unlike an eagle or hawk, they didn't dive from the sky. Instead, they chased their prey down on the ground. Jaws. Some propose the hatchet strike model. The terror bird would grab or pin its target and deliver a downward blow with its massive beak, essentially using its head like a battle axe. Others suggest a crush and gulp approach, where the bird would grasp smaller prey in its beak, shake it violently, and swallow it whole or in chunks. Either way, you didn't want to be a rodent or a small ungulate in their path. Their intelligence remains a mystery. The brains of terror birds, based on fossilized cranial casts, weren't especially large or complex compared to modern birds of prey. But nature doesn't require genius when you've got 10-foot-tall intimidation and a beak that functions like a guillotine. Despite their fearsome adaptations, not all terror birds were towering titans. Some species were only about 3 feet tall and might have relied more on ambush tactics or scavenging than high-speed chases. It's important to realize the terror bird family was incredibly diverse. Some were desert dwellers, Others lived in forests or plains. Their range extended far and wide, from Argentina to Colombia, and eventually into North America. Yet for millions of years, there was one constant. Wherever they roamed, they reigned supreme. Until, that is, the mammals arrived. The rise of placental mammals, particularly large carnivores like saber-toothed cats and canids, began to shift the balance. These agile, warm-blooded hunters could outmaneuver and outthink the birds in certain environments. And when human ancestors finally entered the picture, alongside their tools, fire, and eventually domesticated animals, the era of giant flightless predators faced its twilight. But that moment of decline had not yet arrived. Back in their prime, terror birds were still redefining what it meant to be a bird. Not a flyer, not a singer, not a gentle feathered friend, but a terrestrial war machine. A reminder that evolution is more than just dinosaurs and mammals. Sometimes, the strangest creatures rise from the ashes and take center stage. As South America's isolation came to an end, the stage was set for one of the greatest biological shakeups in Earth's history. The Great American Biotic Interchange wasn't just about animals moving north or south. It was about a titanic clash of ecosystems. The once invincible terror birds, rulers of their domain for over 50 million years, now faced an onslaught of furry, clever, and highly adaptable invaders. From North America came wolves, bears, big cats, and nimble scavengers, creatures that hunted in packs or used strategy to bring down prey. For the first time, the terror birds had serious competition, and it wasn't long before the cracks began to show. But they didn't go quietly. One species in particular, Titanis walleri, made a bold push into the unfamiliar terrain of what is now the southern United States. At nearly 8 feet tall and over 300 pounds, Titanis was the last and most ambitious of the terror birds. It was also the only known forest racid to cross into North America. Fossils found in Texas and Florida show that these birds weren't just passing through, they were trying to stake a claim. But North America was a different world. The environment was more varied, the competition fiercer. Smilodon, the saber-toothed cat, was already prowling the forests. Packs of dire wolves roamed the plains. Giant bears and nimble foxes occupied every niche in between. Even with their deadly beaks and terrifying speed, the birds faced a game they hadn't had to play before. In the fossil record, Titanis' story fades quickly, while its southern cousins hung on a bit longer. The entire terror bird family began vanishing around 2 million years ago. Why? There isn't one clear answer. More likely, it was a combination of pressures. Climate changes shrank their preferred habitats. Mammalian carnivores slowly edged them out of the apex role. And, if the timing lines up, early humans may have delivered the final blow. Still, fossils continue to turn up in surprising places. In Argentina, a nearly complete skull of Kelenken was unearthed in 2006, revealing even more terrifying details about the size and shape of its lethal beak. In Uruguay and Brazil, partial skeletons suggest smaller species of terror birds may have survived longer in isolated pockets, hiding out in ecosystems less disturbed by change. Some scientists even believe that the last of the terror birds may have coexisted with early humans. That's not just an unsettling thought, it's a profound one. Imagine walking through the scrubland, stone tools in hand, only to find yourself stalked not by a lion or bear, but by a massive bird standing twice your height, with eyes fixed and motionless as it calculates the distance between your skull and its beak. The idea that humans might have hunted, feared, or even revered such creatures pushes these birds out of the realm of fossils and into something closer to mythology. Did they inspire early legends? Did their bones decorate ancient shrines? No one knows, but the echoes of their reign are still felt in stone, in soil, and in our imaginations. It's tempting to think of birds as fragile, as prey, as skybound songs and seed peckers. But the terror birds upend all of that. They remind us that evolution doesn't care about our categories. Birds can be killers. They can lose flight, gain power, and rise to dominate entire continents. Given the right circumstances, feathers and fury can walk hand in hand. The closest thing we have today to a terror bird might be the cassowary, a shy but temperamental bird in northern Australia and Papua New Guinea. It's flightless, brightly colored, and has dagger-like claws on its feet. While it's not even close to the size of Titanis or Kelenkin, it has injured and even killed humans when provoked. It's a living echo, a scaled-down memory of a time when birds were boss. Even the modern ostrich carries the spirit of the terror bird. Tall, territorial, and fiercely fast, ostriches can deliver deadly kicks to would-be predators. But compared to the forest racids, they're like harmless relatives at a family reunion, strikingly familiar, but nowhere near as wild as their ancestors. Terror birds may be gone, but their story is far from over. Each fossil unearthed adds a brushstroke to their portrait. New species are still being described. Paleontologists now use CT scans and 3D modeling to reconstruct their skulls and estimate the power of each bite. Some theories even suggest terror birds had booming calls, like the deep-throated cry of an emu or ostrich, amplified through their huge skull cavities. Just imagine that sound echoing across a primeval plain, announcing death long before it arrives. There are even whispers of undiscovered relatives or of convergent species in Africa or Asia that evolved similarly but are yet to be found. Evolution, after all, loves a good remix. Give it isolation, time, and a predator-shaped hole, and strange things can happen. In the end, the terror bird wasn't just a one-hit wonder in the evolutionary record. It was a dynasty, an entire lineage that adapted, diversified, spread across continents, and battled through eons of change. Its bones are found across half a dozen countries. Its shadow lingers in our myths, our nightmares, and in the cold, staring eyes of modern raptors. So next time you look at a bird, whether it's a pigeon or a parrot, remember this: you're looking at the cousin of a killer, a survivor of a family that once ruled the earth with talons and terror.